Hey, what's happening? It's June 18th. I just wanted to talk a couple of things that are going on in the news today. I know I said that I was going to talk about currencies and oil, but I'm going to postpone that till next week because there's been two important Supreme Court rulings this week that I wanted to talk about instead. And the Supreme Court generally does release its important rulings in June, and so we can expect to see even more. But I did want to talk about what has happened this week. And so I got on my sheet, on my board here, some information. I know I'm so bad at writing on this thing. But Supreme Court, and remember there's 9 justices on the Supreme Court, which I know like many of you already remember, but just in case you forgot. And it's not like all Supreme Courts have 9 justices. Like for instance, the state of Illinois has 7 justices on our Supreme Court, and they're elected they're elected for 10-year terms. And so, unlike the National Supreme Court, which is appointed and for life. The rulings this week were LGBTQ, and basically to say that companies cannot discriminate against LGBTQ people in the workplace because of a rule or a law that was created as part of the Civil Rights Act in 1964. And so the Supreme Court looked at it and said, you know what, these protections not only carry through for minorities, but it also carries through for any other group as far as protections under the law. And so that's certainly going to make sure that it allows for, let's say, a gay couple to have the same rights as a heterosexual couple as far as like getting health insurance through their company. And so those types of things could have maybe been impacted by the ruling, and since they ruled in favor of them, that basically that's not going to happen. And then like you can't be fired from a job because you're gay or transgender. And so those are certainly important things as far as the Supreme Court ruling goes earlier in the week. Then the other one that they ruled on today was the DACA, that's Deferred Action Program, for those people who came to the United States as children illegally with their parents. So let's say their parents brought them here when they were 3 years old. It wasn't like the kids had decided that they wanted to come here. It was just the parents decided that they were going to bring them here. And then they grew up here, and now they're not here legally. They're here illegally, and so what's going to happen to them? Are they going to be able to work and things like that? And as it turns out, there was this DACA program set up by executive order under Obama in 2012 that basically said that these DACA or Dreamer people, you might have heard them called, can stay in the United States and can work, and that Congress will work on some sort of a path to citizenship for them. Well, of course, Congress never got around to working on a path to citizenship for them because they couldn't agree to anything. So then Donald Trump gets elected, and Donald Trump says that executive order is illegal, which he could have actually just reversed the executive order himself, because the president can write an executive order and another president can reverse that executive order. But he didn't. He instead wanted to use it sort of as leverage to get his own policies passed as far as immigration. And of course, one of the big ones was he wanted to get Congress to fund building the wall. And so his plan was, and he basically said this, if Congress will negotiate with us and allow for the money to build the wall, then he's willing to go along with making changes to DACA so all these young people can stay. And you know, it's like people who are like 18 to 30 years old who are in this situation. And by the way, those DACA recipients also work in like really important jobs, you know, like maybe in education or in food services or in medical. And we need those people in the system because we don't have enough teachers, we don't have enough medical workers, or even the frontline workers these days for working at fast food restaurants or grocery stores or any of those other things. And so we really need those DACA people in the system. But in any case, now the Supreme Court has ruled that the executive order is legal, and so now will President Trump decide that he's going to do something about it? Because again, he could just do another executive order and reverse it. chances are he's not going to do that in an election year. And he wants to basically allow these DACA people to stay, but he wanted to use it as leverage. And so the immigration issue is still going to be like floating around out there. And of course, Trump has figured out how to pay for a portion of the wall by diverting resources from the military into building the wall. And so that part has continued to sort of go along. And then we do need some sort of a comprehensive immigration program and package, and maybe to create some sort of an amnesty for those people who are here illegally and have been here for years and have been working and all that sort of thing. And by the way, it wouldn't be something new. Ronald Reagan actually did it in the 80s. He created an amnesty program that allowed many illegal immigrants that were already here to stay and to become citizens, and of course have become productive citizens and their families productive citizens over all of those years. And so it certainly is possible to happen. And so the DACA is really like an interesting ruling by the Supreme Court, and we'll have to see how that plays out. So that's a little bit background on what's going on in the Supreme Court. Again, I wouldn't be surprised to hear a couple more very big important rulings. Oh, and the other important thing was how the vote went. Like, for instance, the LGBTQ was 2 conservatives, Gorsuch, who Trump was the one who appointed, and John Roberts, who's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, voted in favor of that. And so it's been, and John Roberts even wrote the opinion for the DACA one, and Gorsuch wrote the opinion for the LGBTQ one. And so these conservatives, again, their job is to interpret the law and the Constitution, not to like decide whether or not it's right or wrong, just whatever the laws say. And so they're pretty much, apparently doing that. But certainly Donald Trump's going to be upset that somebody that he appointed basically went against what some of the things that he was trying to get done. So just to keep that in mind, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the Supreme Court. I know things that are a little bit out of order because I just posted chapter 3, and I did that because I wanted to make sure that you guys had enough time to go through it because there was so much material in it. And then I'll do Congress and the presidency in the next couple of days, post those notes and videos to the website. All right, hope you're having a great day. Nice outside. Talk to you.